Hi everyone, my name is Molly. I'm a peer wellness coordinator at the Duck Nest Wellness Center. And like my last video on how to freeze food, we're going to talk about meat basics today. Again, this is information from Food for Lane County, and we usually talk about this when we do our cooking classes every term. So this is just to supplement those classes during this time. So today we're just going to talk about purchasing meat, storing meat, preparing meat, cooking meat. So all about meat. I will be posting a video on vegetarian eating and how to supplement, especially protein sources, because meat can be really high in calcium and protein and vitamin B, and amongst many other things. And those are important things to keep in your diet. So if you are a vegetarian, your time is coming soon. So first, we're going to talk about purchasing meat. So especially at the grocery store right now, it's really important to be mindful of your time spent and kind of have a game plan when you go to the grocery store, especially when buying meat. So most like all of the other fresh foods in the grocery store, those are going to be at the perimeter of the grocery store. So most of your shopping should be on the perimeter of the grocery store to create a balanced diet and balanced meals. So it's important that you pick up your meat last when you're going through the grocery store. This reduces the amount of time it's spent out of the cold. It needs to be kept cold just to reduce it from spoiling. So the other thing is when you pick up your meat, make sure you bag it separately to avoid contaminating other groceries with like juices that may drip from the packaging or anything like that. So when you're specifically looking for the meat, make sure you see that safe food handling label on the package. So this label shows that the meat was processed safely according to FDA guidelines and gives you tips on the preparation and handling of your meat. Make sure it's tightly and securely packaged. So if you see a hole in the packaging or it seems somewhat loose or maybe not as safe, don't pick up that one, pick up another type of that meat. And then also a cool trick that we talk about in the cooking classes is you can buy discounted meats because meat is considered pretty expensive, but you can buy discounted meats that are about to expire. And those are typically at like kind of the edge of the cold case. But it's really important to eat those either right away or freeze them. So we'll talk about how to do that and how to freeze them effectively. Another thing is if generally foods are cheaper when you buy in bulk, and that's the same with meat. You can go up to your butcher and ask for a certain amount of meat. So you can get just as much as you want. You don't have to overbuy, and then you're not paying for the packaging, which is really cool. All right, so storing meat. I have a cute little picture in the corner that has the fridge meeting the meat. This is to show you that meat should always be in the fridge, if not being either cooked or eaten. So always a good rule of thumb, handle meat with clean, dry hands. So when you're either storing it, cooking it, moving it, whatever you're doing, always have clean, dry hands. So when you're storing meat, make sure you store it in the coldest part of your fridge, or you can put it in the meat bin in your fridge. Some fridges have a meat bin. This is typically the coldest part of the fridge. So that would be good. And then make sure you use fresh raw meats stored in the fridge within 3 to 4 days of purchase. This is just a general rule of thumb. Some meats may have less or more time spent in the fridge, but it's important to note that most meats do not last longer than 4 days after purchase. Or you could freeze your meat in freezer safe wrap at 0 degrees Fahrenheit in your freezer. And then those can last a lot longer. You can look online to see specifics on how long your meat lasts in the freezer. And we'll talk about defrosting next. But in general, cooked meat should be eaten or frozen within 3 to 4 days. So basically, when you buy meat, it needs to be eaten or cooked within 3 to 4 days unless you're freezing it. Okay. Go to the next one. Okay, preparing meat. So the first and most important step, like we've learned during this pandemic, is the importance of washing hands. Wash your hands for 20 seconds before, during, and after handling raw meat. This is good because it will prevent spoiling and contamination of other foods. Make sure you're using soap and water. Don't just wash it with plain water. And the during meat handling raw meat kind of means that if you're going in between certain things, if you've touched raw meat and you're going to go chop a vegetable, make sure you wash your hands in between those steps. That way you're not contaminating that vegetable with raw meat. So the other thing is to use either 2 separate cutting boards or wash your cutting board in between your cooking raw meat and fruits and vegetables. So one way we like to do this is using colored cutting boards. So like a red one would be for meat and then the green one would be for fruits and vegetables. This avoids cross-contamination once again, and you're always washing your hands between cutting those. And then another thing is if your meat is in the freezer, defrost it in the fridge. So if let's say you want to have ground turkey the next day, put that ground turkey in the fridge overnight and you'll have fresh raw ground turkey for the next day. So, or you could put it, if you're in a pinch, use the microwave. There's a defrost setting on all microwaves, and you can just click and it'll ask you what type of meat you have, that kind of thing, or you can look up how long it is to defrost certain meats in the microwave. The key in this is to not put your meat on the counter. So if you put your meat on the counter, it's exposing it to a whole bunch of different things in the air, and it can spoil really easily. You can forget about it, anything like that. So putting it on the counter is just kind of a good thing not to do when you're defrosting your meat. So the other thing with that is to always marinate your meat in the fridge. So if you're creating a marinade for your meat, put it in the fridge for a couple hours, take it out, and then cook it right away. Okay. So cooking. So the most important thing to learn from this is that you have to cook microwave thawed meat immediately after it's been thawed. This is just a general cooking rule for meat. It also creates better meat quality and that sort of thing. Especially if you are a person that has limited cooking experience, and especially with meat, invest in a food thermometer. They're super cheap. You can get a specific meat thermometer and you actually stick it into the meat that you're cooking, and it will tell you what that meat is at in temperature. So you want to make sure to put it in the center of the meat though, because that's the hardest to cook. So anyway, so if you're using a meat thermometer, make sure you cook your ground meats to at least 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Beef, veal, and lamb should reach 145 degrees Fahrenheit, and same with pork. Chicken and poultry should reach 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and leftovers should reach 165 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're confused at all at how high you're supposed to cook your meat to in terms of temperature, go ahead and Google again. I feel like that's a really great resource in terms of learning how to cook. Also, cooked meat should not be left unrefrigerated for more than 2 hours, and that's really, really important. So you can't cook a meal and then have it sit out for 2 hours and then put it away for eating later, because your food could be spoiled by then, just in the terms of meat. So anyway, I hope that was helpful, learning about meat and learning about how to shop for it, cook it, prepare it, all of that sorts of things. If you have any questions, please feel free to DM us or email the Duck Nest at purehealth@uoregon.edu. But keep an eye out for more cooking videos and let us know how you like it. Thanks. Bye.